Assalamu alaikum. Let's cook. Okay, people, we live in this social media era now of the black Klansmen. There's a lot of these black Negro-pean Klansmen and Klanswomen out here. Who are they? There are these Negroes who just think they smart and intelligent because they repeat white supremacist rhetoric over and over again. And it comes from, that white American cracker school of thought. Basically, these are the type of guys that are like, keep your feet up, whitey, we got this. So let's get into this way of thinking that the majority of white Americans have first. This way of thinking when it comes to black people. Okay, so when it comes to black people, if you notice, white Americans, they disregard all historical context. Everything goes out the window. Nothing matters, no cause and effect, nothing. What just happened today happened because black people did it. What happened right now happened to me, or if it's something that I didn't like, it happened because black people did it, that's it. Then they say things like, well, look at the stats and look at the numbers. I'm telling the truth. It's typical Chad, Karen, Emily, and Hunter behavior. Typical. Perfect example. White lady, white man, they go up to a black person who's fishing or something like that at a pond, somewhere that he can be at legally. They're not police, they're not enforcers or whatever, but they go up to him, yeah, what you doing here? Why you here? We've had issues around here with certain things. He responds, I'm here because I belong here. He's getting irritated. She starts yelling. Her husband comes, to help her even more. Hey, what's going on? What are you talking to my wife for like that? They both start yelling at this man, calling him the N-word, monkey, to this and that, getting spit in his face or whatever. He socks one of them in the eye, give him a shiner. Now they're crying. They're on the ground, kicking like a fish out of water. They call the police. Now the police come. They say, well, he punched me in my eye. Now, is that lady lying? Absolutely not. Is that man lying? No, he's not lying. The black man did punch him in the eye. Okay? So they're not lying. But the white supremacist school of thought, again, no historical context or cause and effect when it involves black people. They disregard all that just for black people, okay? All they know is you punched me in the eye. That's it. That's all they tell the police officer. That's all they tell whoever. He punched me in the eye. Is it the truth? Yeah, it's the truth. Of course it's the truth. He did punch her in the eye. But why did he punch her in the eye? Why did he punch that man in the eye? What was the context behind it? What's the cause and effect? Okay? So a lot of things that these new Negro-pean black Klansmen, that you see on social media, the only thing you hear them saying is that typical white American school of thought, the things they say from that school of thought. Oh, it's the truth. Are they lying? It's the truth. Okay? And there's more and more of these shine bones popping up in every city. I mean, you got your Jason Whitlock type wannabes, your Tatum wannabes on social media. Now, due to social media, the local guy can get on and do that, and he can get a following, a bunch of lost Negroes with platforms. There's some in every city. I did one in the past on that guy from New York that wears the New York fitted. There's another dude, I think he's from Ohio. His name is Dr. T. He's about in his 70s. I think I even talked about him before. I'm not sure about Dr. T, but absolutely disgusting. There's this new other, Negro-pean out of Philadelphia on social media. He calls himself Big Reed or whatever. Horrible, Now, what these guys do is all they do is repeat white supremacist thought patterns for whitey. That's it. All they do is repeat what white people have always said and add their little ghetto hip hop twist or whatever they may want to add to it. I've been through this or whatever, man. You know what I mean? They say things that are obvious and true in their world. The things they saying are obvious and true in their world. And they critique black people, the youth, the men, the women. They critique black people and they say what's probably true is the obvious, okay? That's the easiest thing to do. Who can't critique black people who never had control of educating themselves, never had control of their nutrition, never had control of where they lived? And if it appears that black people had control of that, that's just some black person that was hired, some Negro-pean Greek that was hired by a white supremacist, usually a liberal, to go in there and do the job for them. That's it. Same thing you see in all these cities with Muriel Bowser in Philadelphia, wherever you want to name. You know what I'm saying? Same thing over and over. Okay? But these Negropean smarty pants, these new Klansmen, they don't ever give any historical context as to why things are the way they are. So they state things that are obviously true, that can be seen right in front of your face with your eyes, with no historical context, no context behind it, no cause and effect. They learn that from white people. Just like I said about the white Karen and her husband. Oh, he punched me in the eye. Did he punch her in the eye? Yeah, he did. Is that true? Of course it is. That's why you notice these people always say, well, is it true or is it not? No historical context behind it. These guys are very ignorant, but they try to appear as though they're smart. But if you've been paying attention, we've heard this from Whitey for years. All they're doing is repeating it. You know what I'm saying? But they never get into the historical context behind why things are the way they are. They speak to a lot of ignorant people, a lot of ignorant, confused people, by the way. These are the guys who really hype these people up. You know what I mean? People who are usually confused, ignorant. Some of them are a little bit slow, you know. So why does the ghetto look like this? They don't get into why. Why are these people so violent and ignorant? Why don't people have jobs and employment? Why are these schools all messed up? Why are these black families destroyed? They don't give any historical context as to why. Now, my thing is this. I got no problem with people speaking about issues and saying something, bringing up these things in the black community. With no problem with that. But it's very odd, and it makes no sense. When you have black people who constantly talk about these things, but they don't put a third of the energy into telling the truth and giving the reason why, the historical context behind it. They don't do that. You know what I mean? And they don't do it because if they did, then they would have to call out the people that they worship and they adore. And that's Whitey. Okay? That's it. They're not going to do that. These are cowards. But these people, they present their message as if, oh, I'm holding us accountable. You know, we got to do this first. We got to do this. Get out of here, man. You know what I'm saying? And the people who do this and follow this school of thought, it may even be you listening. I mean, this is a free platform. It's YouTube. You know what I'm saying? I know it's not all of you, but you know, y'all know what I'm saying. You know what I mean? But the thing about you black Klansmen, Negropeans is this. This is what I'm going to ask you. At what point do you realize that you just doing the white man's job for him? And it's very easy to do. It's very easy to do. There was this dude that I used to listen to sometimes years ago, you know what I mean, named David Carroll. Actually, that's where I got the word shine bone from. I thought it was hilarious when he used to say it all the time. I got it from this dude, David Carroll. I used to sit back sometime and listen to every word. He was funny to me, you know what I mean? He was funny. I heard he passed away. Somebody told me that he passed away. I had no clue during that whole COVID era thing. They said that he passed away. But he used to be on YouTube, you know, smoking a cigar or whatever. And after listening to him for hours, I thought, well, he is telling the truth about them black liberals. He is. He's telling the truth about the result of not having men around. He's telling the truth. And he's telling the truth about these shine bone pastors that he always used to talk about. But I'm like, dang, dude, you never say nothing about the root cause of why things are the way they are. What kind of intelligent person in their 50s that said that they lived all this time? I think he was in his 50s or maybe 60 or whatever. What kind of intelligent person doesn't look at a situation and understand that they have to fix it at its root cause? Oh, I know why you're not saying it or you're not bringing that part up. Because around white men, all you dudes are popcorn shrimp. I seen you. I see these guys in action, people. I've seen these guys for years. You're a popcorn shrimp in a room with white men. And all you do is validate them. Bunch of cowards. And that's why I had an issue with this brother, Kevin Samuel. That's why I had an issue with him. You know what I mean? I had no problem with what he was doing, really, if he did it a different way. Okay, he's telling, you know, the truths about women who are calling the show and the conditions of these women and relationships and things like that, about how, you know, delusional some of these women who were calling the show were. He made them look stupid, and they were. I mean, like I said before, a lot of these women who used to call them were slow. You could tell. He's telling the truth about black families and married people being married and things like that. But he never put a third of the energy. He never put a third of the energy into trying to school all these listeners he had, all these followers he had. He never put a third of that energy into trying to teach people why things were the way they are. Why are they like that? Oh, these black people just woke up stupid and barbaric like this and, not wanting a black family and nothing like that. He never put any energy into that. It was maximum to black people, minimum to the root cause of the issue. And people who do that, I think that's cowardly. You know what I'm saying? Was he telling the truth in a lot what he was saying? Of course he was. The Klansman tells the truth. If you go to any one of these white supremacist crackers and you tell them to say something about black people, they'll, most of the time, what they say will be obvious and true. But they'll never get into the root cause of why things are the way they are. You know what I'm saying? White man does it. You know what I'm saying? Because one of the major traits and characteristics of a white supremacist, failure to accept responsibility and accountability for what they do. They have the power and the money to just switch a narrative, which is what you see on this Bagelstein list and all these guys that were out there doing all this nasty stuff. So I know why they do it. But you Negro-pean Klansmen who try to repeat them, you're making yourself look stupid, man. You're making yourself look stupid. You pretty much doing their work for them. You make absolutely no sense. It makes no sense. You don't get into the root cause, the cause and effect, the historical context behind why things are the way they are. If you don't do that, you're a coward. Now, you could say what you want about black people. You want to hold black people accountable. You want to bring awareness to it. No problem. You got a platform, people listen, okay. But you don't put at least, in my opinion, at least half of that energy into trying to educate people as to why things are the way they are and what happened with historical context. I think you're a coward, a popcorn shrimp. You are a black Klansman, Negro-pean coward. You're not some clever Negro. You just repeating the same rhetoric from the white man's playbook. We heard it all before. Us who've been paying attention or who were taught by, our elders and things like that from years ago. You know what I'm saying? Same bottom line with your little twist, whatever twist you may have, your little twist from what you see in your world, in your hood, or when you was locked up or whatever, or when you was out doing things that you weren't supposed to do, destroying the community. Now you're enlightened at 40 something, whatever, you know what I mean? And the people who are on these platforms hyping you Negro-pean Klansmen up, a lot of these people are usually very confused, bitter, and slow also. So it's really nothing to be proud about. You're a sellout. You are a coward. And this is why the white men who you run around and adore and nut hug all day will never respect you. Because white people, the white community, they recognize real strength when they see it. And they know they could smell a popcorn shrimp. That's a fact. Easy.